Right, hello everyone. I'm Leslie, and we are here today to talk to you as part of World Childless this week. And this is Claire as well. And
Hi.
we're going to do a bit of an introduction. We're going to share a slide show with you to give a bit of a structure to what we're going to talk about, which hopefully will be able to help you to understand where we're coming from. And so I'm just going to do that first of all. Um, and all being well, this will show up effectively. We're just going to do this. If you can see the slides, then let me know. We good?
I can see them. I
Using
think
them. Yeah.
hoping we're okay.
So just to start with, we wanted to just kind of confirm the title of this webinar of From Suppression to Expression. So the use of art and creativity for healing and self-discovery. And across that, there'll be an invite for you to, if you're wanting to create something while you're listening, while you're watching. So if you like have a pen and paper, it could be as simple as a doodle, it could be using some other things if you like to. So, and as an introduction, we said briefly our names, but we didn't really say anything more. So, if I introduce myself first, then like we'll hand
Mhm.
over to Claire to explain like what she wants to share about herself. So my name's Lesley. I'm an art therapist and an artist from the UK. In the context of this webinar, I would describe and World Childlessness Week. I'm childless not by circumstances, not by choice. So my life has just like been in those situations where I've never had children, and that actually it's impacted me in a big way, in maybe a way that might be different to some people, but then actually I'm very aware of how the impact on everybody can be really unique. So something I really noticed this summer in the summer holidays, I wanted to kind of really lean into my own creativity, particularly this year. And this is one of the reasons why I really appreciate and I'm on a bit of a mission to help people to be more creative and to express themselves more freely. So thank you for coming along today. I hope that you find it useful or interesting or can get something from it in some way. So over to you, Claire.
Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Claire. I'm a nature-based psychotherapist and a forest therapy guide. And my story is a little bit different. I'm childless due to fertility issues. And through that journey, I felt quite lost, quite not knowing where my place was, or where I belonged. Found a lot of things were for mums, or for families, and feeling like I didn't know where I fit in. Um, and nature has been the thing that has helped me find my place, through this time.
So this is the thing that we've got this sort of sense of such huge experiences, and I really appreciate Claire like sharing that. Huge experiences, all of our experiences are very different and all of our feelings are very different, but one thing that I sort of see a lot of in my work with people and for myself as well, something I've really experienced is times when I've really suppressed my emotions, like pushed them down. And like the pictures here, it can feel like really almost like you don't have a voice sort of thing. There's an image of someone like without a voice or not being able to see or not being able to hear and feel quite stuck. And I suppose in a nutshell, that kind of sense of suppression of like really pushing down those emotions can there's reasons why that happens because sometimes it can be protective, sometimes emotions can just be too big to to feel in the surface, but then as a long-term strategy it's not always helpful. But yeah, what are your thoughts on suppression, Claire?
I think sometimes it can be quite isolating. Like we think we're protecting others by not sharing how we're feeling because we don't want to upset them or we don't want to burden them. So we keep everything in. But that can become quite heavy and quite difficult to hold for just one person.
Mm,
And I think sometimes it's the hardest thing is kind of being able to say like you're not okay. It's a lot easier to say like I'm fine or I'm tired, and they seem to be just acceptable responses that people will take, and they won't ask too many questions.
yeah, we do often in the world say I'm fine when actually we may be struggling.
Mhm.
And that's the reason why kind of using art and using nature can be really helpful.
Mhm.
So us coming together and talking about art and nature and about creativity and the reason why creativity and art are there's a big link between the two. And sometimes you might say, well, actually, it makes sense. It might be quite obvious for some people, or it might not be for some others. And in my own personal artwork, I love making artwork about nature. I love going for walks in nature, and I love like making art about landscapes. And there's times when I've not been well and I've not been able to get outside and go on walks, but I've made art about it. And it's almost been like um an additional person to talk to when I've not like been able to express myself. So yeah, that link between art and nature is really important.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think the one other thing we've both noticed is that art and nature becomes, like you said, that third person in whatever dimension we're in, and they both complement each other. That time spent in nature boosts creativity and can relax you, and so can art, and making art out of nature can be relaxing and soothing. And yeah, I feel like they
Mm,
do come hand in hand sometimes, don't
yeah. And times when you might kind of feel that you maybe want to speak to somebody or maybe feel like you're not sure how to hold on to an emotion, and
they?
maybe sharing those things with a human might be hard, but then actually sharing it in your artwork or in your connection to nature can be maybe just as hard, just as challenging, but somehow um acceptable and sometimes easier in some
Mhm.
ways. That it's okay to not be okay, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
So one of the things that I put together as an art therapist and recognizing this in my like work with people and work for myself as well, what's been useful for me is, and how this fits with supporting emotions and supporting kind of um being able to live a life that feels aligned with what you're wanting, and have a balance between acceptance of the challenging emotions and then stepping into doing things that you want to do, is the focus five. So we've got five different areas, and the idea of this, the intention of this, is that if you are aware of what's going on for you inside, emotionally, energetically, what's maybe going on with your thoughts and feelings, experiences, if there's things that events that are going on, anything that might be affecting you, if you're aware of what's going on for you, you can make a choice to have a certain intention about your actions. So you can have an intention to, it might be that we've got regulate as one of these. It might be that you want to regulate your emotions, which is about um, feeling in balance. It might be that you are maybe needing to feel a bit more empowered or explore something. So the five here are activate, regulate, explore, express, and empower. And I suppose the key thing with this, as I said a second ago, is about understanding what's going on for you. And when you're feeling like really stressed or stuck or grieving and feeling overwhelmed, it can be hard to know what to do sometimes. And it can be hard to think, well, what will be helpful for me is this, but then maybe not have the energy or the emotional um or the motivation, or maybe just feel too overwhelmed to be able to do something, like to go out for a walk or something. And that's where actually being able to understand whether you're wanting to feel calmer or feel more energized, or whether you're wanting to do something to explore the world, or explore yourself, or to explore and express something. So these 5 things can help you to, I suppose, provide a bit of structure and a bit of an understanding of why you might do something. So you have an intention for that. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk through these different areas, use and how it fits with art and nature, and that link, because as Claire was saying, that you can nature can help you to be more creative, and creativity can help you to be able to see nature in a different way, in a more present way. So we'll go on to here. So activate is the first one. So I touched upon this already, and because of that idea of, like, we've got people walking, and we've got like a diary schedule, and we've got kind of somebody on their bikes, and actually those people on their bike look like they're full of life, in my opinion anyway, going down through the woods and the autumn leaves, and actually sometimes I can look out the window and think, I just don't feel like doing that. Just feel like really down, and like just don't feel like I've got the energy to do that. And actually that's where, rather than doing it when I feel like doing it, planning to do something even if I don't feel like doing something. And that's where, like, behavior activation comes in, because that was something that was designed to boost mood and to shift how somebody feels.
And it's about like adapting things as well, isn't it? About kind of knowing if you might not want to go for that big hike or that big long bike ride, but actually maybe you could manage a walk around the block, or just going for a really gentle bike ride, or like maybe you want to do a big picture, or create something that's really big, but that feels too overwhelming, and just, starting with a small doodle, or kind of, knowing what you can do in that moment instead of being overwhelmed by the big end point.
Mm. Yeah, so actually, and sometimes you could maybe share the overall desire that, oh, I really want to go and do this, but then it
Mhm.
feels like too much right now. So being able, like that idea, I suppose, of um there's a poem that starts with something like, if a mountain feels too much for you, then climb a hill instead. And I can't
Mhm.
remember it right now, but I'm sure people, like anyone that's here that knows it, that you might be able to share that. But it's that sense of, it can be so easy sometimes to see other people doing things and think, oh, I should be able to do that because I've done that before, but maybe can't. So
Mhm.
just like, there's maybe something really important about being kind to ourselves, and like appreciating the small things, like really appreciating like the tiny, tiny steps. And whenever you do that, then you could maybe feel the feelings from it, and like that can impact on mood. So the next one in the focus 5 is about regulation, emotional regulation, and regulation of your energy as well. So the image on one side is an illustration of the window of tolerance, the concept that talks about emotional regulation, where we all have this middle ground, which we is called that's called the window of tolerance, what we can tolerate. So there might be times when maybe something feels triggering, something feels stressful, something feels overwhelming. And actually, sometimes that can cause us to react in different ways. So sometimes it might be that we go up here, sometimes it might be that we go down there. And it makes sense to have those reactions because things can be really challenging and painful and upsetting. So it makes perfect sense to have those reactions. And if we're reacting up here, that being hyper aroused, panicking, anxious, feeling agitated, then that's often been described as sort of fight or flight in that space of fight or flight where you are maybe on guard and maybe needing to react, and you might really notice that in your body. And then on the opposite side, it might be that something causes you to really shut down and feel sort of maybe lower in energy, like maybe um feeling down in mood, and that's more the hypoarousal. And in that optimum state, it's like people are going up and down all the time. Like as humans, we are up and down all the time, aren't we? That nobody, like, I think that they would be like very few people, or maybe not telling the truth entirely if they're saying that their mood is completely the same all the time. But people will be up and down depending on what's going on. But the thing is that when something challenging has happened or when something kind of feels overwhelming, being like outside of our window of tolerance can feel really hard, and it can feel really like unhelpful sometimes. So when in by using art to regulate emotions and to either calm the nervous system down or energize it, activate it, can be a good way to just feel that balance. And I've got some pastels here and crayons here. And one of the things with that is that certain materials can make a difference to what you're doing. You can make a picture that feels really calming, or make a picture that feels like maybe starting with a scribble. And that might be where you are because you want to just get out and express and move your crayon like this because I'm really agitated. And then the more I do that, the more I actually then feel calmer through that physical action of doing something like that. So there's so much that is there's so much to talk about with this, and hopefully we'll be able to explore this further once we've talked through the slides. Maybe it might be that some of the questions could come in it. And similar to what I was saying about the focus five generally is about you being aware of yourself. So if you practice using art in different ways, like practice doing something big and bold and messy, or practice doing something that's more controlled, or like see what comes up for you, see what feels comfortable, see where the tension lies, and if there's anything that gives you more energy, then you can learn about yourself in that way. So, and we're going to just move on to talk about emotional regulation and how nature helps.
I found that poem. I've just shared it in the chat because it was a really nice poem when I found it. So nature helps us regulate our emotions in quite a few ways. So nature is aesthetically pleasing to our nervous system. So I've got a few different pictures here. So the roots of a tree and the canopy of a tree both imitate what our lungs look like and kind of what our nerves and blood flow and everything are inside. And so when we see those outside in nature, it kind of does something internally for us to help soothe us, to help bring us back to that rest and digest state. With the waves going in and out replicate our breathing patterns. So again, that can feel quite soothing as well, and quite calming if we're just watching and breathing as the waters are moving as well. And then I might come to this a little bit later, but I think it fits here. Like similar to how Lesley was saying that like different materials are good for different emotions depending on how you're feeling. Different weathers can be good for us, depending on what emotions we're feeling. So for me, sometimes I find that if I've got my head just feels really overwhelmed and I've just got lots of thoughts racing, what I want is to be in an open space that's really windy and I want to be battered by the wind. I want the wind to be kind of coming at me and almost just like blowing everything out of me. And that always makes me feel like I've kind of calmed down. And if I'm angry, I might want to go somewhere where I can walk fast and I can walk quickly. So I kind of stomping everything out, a little bit like having a tantrum. Um, and then sometimes if I'm like seeking that comfort and wanting to feel like I'm cocooned, I would go deep into a forest. But there's no like hard and fast rule with any of those. Different things work for different people. Like the rain is quite cleansing. And I always think that like, it's really good if it's raining because no one can tell I'm crying. Because then it's all just mixed in and it kind of feels okay. It's like nature's giving me permission. It's like it's okay, like I'm crying too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure lots of people would sort of resonate with that of to certain weather that kind of captures a certain mood as well. And it can be so easy to look out and sort of think, oh, it's raining or it's really windy or it's terrible weather, it's bad weather. But actually what you're saying, Claire, sounds like it's purely about where you're at emotionally, where
Mm-hmm.
you're at energetically, as to whether it can be really liberating, can't it, walking in
Mm-hmm.
rain? And it can.
Yeah.
I took a walk this afternoon, and it surprised me. And actually, somebody had said to me it's going to be really hot during the week. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
Sunday when it was really, really heavy. It's been really thundery, and then it's really hot during the week. And it makes me think that the weather's nervous system is a bit dysregulated. It's all over the place sometimes. But I really enjoyed sort of walking. I had my coat on at first, and nope, it's too hot. And it was just really, really sunny but windy, and it
Mm-hmm.
felt really refreshing in
Yeah.
a different way to when it's been sunny and not windy. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
And there's bits of science around all of this as well. It's so near waterfalls that gives off negative ions, which help boost our mood. Um, the we can trigger oxytocin release by hugging a tree, just like we would from hugging a human or a pet. We still get that release from hugging a tree as well. So it really feels like we're being given back to, or that nature really is supporting us and helping us when we do need that soothing.
Mm. And it is just about being true to yourself, really, isn't it? So
Hmm.
in instead of suppressing emotions, you can be out in nature
Hmm.
and crying when you need to be crying, and like
Hmm.
like
Getting a
whether
hug when
it's
you
about
need it.
and have a hug when you need it, and feel that sort of understanding of that nature understands you. And
Hmm.
similarly, I'm starting to draw something here that was a bit scribbly, but then I was thinking just then it feels like the tree roots, but in a more erratic way. And it
Hmm.
feels like I could change my picture to not have such um random roots, but have a more intentional flow. Because it
Hmm.
did start off really scribbly. But yeah, that idea of being able to just get out what you need to get out in either in nature, or like people talk about talking to the trees or talking to the plants, and
Hmm.
there's lots of theory about letting the art speak as well, and talking to
Hmm.
the art, and then like what's your art communicating. So
Hmm.
like you can have a conversation really with nature and like
Hmm.
with art materials. So when it comes to explore and using art and nature, I think is a clearer thing. I think a lot of people would maybe see exploring it out in nature, like they might understand that bit more. But when it comes to art, I would say that you can use art to really explore how you're feeling, so and explore different perspectives of things. So this image that I've got in front of you, there was a puddle on the floor. I took a picture of it and then I posted it onto my social media somewhere. It's quite an old picture actually, this. And then said, "What can you see?" And people were just telling me different things that they could see. So one said a rabbit on a bike, the other said a kangaroo, somebody said a fish. And like drawing these out didn't need to be perfect at all. But drawing these out, just drawing over the top, is to show just how you can see one thing and then multiple perspectives can come from it. So actually, and you can see things in a different way. Say on a Monday, you might see things in one way, and you might make it add to what you're doing, and you might see it in a different way, like by the end of the day. So I just think that there's something really important about you allowing yourself to explore things and to recognize that something that you're making, an image that you're making, or somewhere that you're exploring, an idea that you're exploring, like the processing of emotions can be changeable. It can always change. And what you place the meaning of with that can be different from one day to another. And something that can be really important to recognize is that depending on how regulated you are or how energized you're feeling, you might be really ready to explore something, or it might just not feel safe yet. And that's why having these different approaches can be helpful. But it might be that it's necessary to explore something but can feel really painful. And that's okay, because actually these like emotions, sometimes emotions feel like that they're gonna last forever, but actually like, yeah, typically it can feel like you're gonna feel sad forever sometimes, but yeah, it's not necessarily the case. Oh, our letters have gone funny.
Oh no,
Sorry.
it's just maybe it's going off on a wander,
Yeah.
gone
Okay.
to explore.
Mm.
Shall I talk a little bit about nature?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Okay. So for very similar to how like art can help you find perspective and understanding, nature can do the same. So spending time in nature and truly connecting with it, can help you explore where you are emotionally. It can give you that time to slow down, that time to kind of just sit with some of those emotions. And it can be, again, like Liz was saying, it's really hard sometimes to vocalize those, to try to explain to somebody how you're feeling. And nature can become those words for you. Nature's full of metaphors, of symbolism. And sometimes there might be something that you see like, okay, I can't say how I feel right now, but that tree looks how I feel right now. So it might be, say, a tree that's it's lost all of its leaves and it's quite bare. Maybe it's not really surrounded by anything, and it could symbolize vulnerability or being alone. Or you might see something that's in full bloom, and that might symbolize that you've got a full life, or that you feel a bit overwhelmed because it's so full, so busy. That again, there's never any hard and fast yes and no's with nature. It's taking what you need and using it in a way to help you to process how you're feeling. Um, and being able to take those words and those symbolisms from nature can really help us. And there's never a rush either with nature. It's always there, maybe in different forms. It's just taking its time. It's allowing what needs to be processed to be processed, and that's sometimes what we've got to do with our emotions. We've got to allow our emotions to come out slowly, to gently explore them, to just have that little bit of a peek at what it is and see how that feels, and then maybe we can go a little bit deeper. But
Mm.
again, not rushing, just taking it in your at your own pace.
Yeah. There's not really a time scale, is there? Like not
Hmm.
an expectation that things
Yeah.
would be explored in a certain way.
hmm
Yeah. And I'm just like really struck by that sort of image, like the differences of these images on here of like one being like really like open, sort of laying back on this tree and just being sort of present, and the other
hmm
like being like really close to that tree and just really like looking and observing like the microscope and like really looking underneath that microscope. And sometimes actually, like you say, that can be really hard to do. You might want to take a
hmm
step back
hmm
and like maybe not explore everything all at once.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
one of my favorite things to do is to, if I'm going on a walk, to do it like a there and back walk. So walk from point A to point B, and maybe thinking about a certain time, or holding a certain emotion and seeing what comes up for you. And then when you get to point B, turn round and come back to point A, and just again have a look at that same emotion, that same situation, but look at how the views change. Like, what can do you see things differently in nature and the environment, and how does that feel internally? Because sometimes we just need to turn around and look at it from a different viewpoint to be able to move through it, or to be able to see that it's okay to feel those emotions and
Mm.
to move through them.
That's such a good idea because you could be moving the same place and going like maybe in the same place that you've been many times, but then
Hmm
actually inviting yourself to slow down or look
hmm
differently can make a big
Yeah.
difference. Or take your earphones out,
hmm
like headphones out, and really listen to
Yeah.
like the birds and listen to nature.
hmm Yeah. Or going to the same place in the different seasons.
Oh
Again,
yeah.
it's going to give you different messages, there'll be different things to look at, different emotions for you to feel as well.
Mm,
Mhm.
yeah. So next up we have expression. So this is thinking about how they're similar to actually being in a place where you can explore things. Depending on your emotional position, energetic place, you might express yourself in different ways. So yeah, if we let's start with expression and nature.
Okay. This is where I think I'll end up repeating myself, because what I've written down is about metaphor and about knowing what you need when you need it. But it's also a really good way to tap into that creativity, like the being able to use natural objects or found objects or whatever's going on in nature to create something. Um, I wanted a picture of a nice leaf mandala, but I couldn't find one when I was putting these on.
Mm,
But just kind of being able to make something that isn't permanent as well, making something, being able to put all of that emotion into creating something, say out of leaves, and then knowing that at any point the wind could come and just blow that away. It can feel quite vulnerable, it can feel quite daunting and quite vulnerable to do that, to say that it's not going to be here after today. But actually, that can be quite empowering if you're ready to let something go. Being able to make something out of leaves and knowing that the wind will take that and that it served its purpose and that you
mm,
no longer have to hold that can be really powerful. Like writing something in the sand, it's not going to stay forever, but you're allowing nature to say, I'll take that now. I'll look after that now. Like you've done your part. You've held that emotion. You've carried that for so long. I'm going to take that now, so that you can be free.
yeah, that does feel really powerful. And
Mm,
but also like you hear these things of like just let go. It's like, Frozen, let it go. And you kind of want to actually, that's really extreme, isn't it? It's big,
mm,
it's
mhm.
hard. And
Yeah.
actually, like when like my understanding when I sort of think about emotions and think about um grief in particular and challenging emotions is that we can it can be really hard to really know what to do in those
hmm
moments, and it can be you can feel really stuck in the grief on one hand, of like being really stuck in those feelings, or focus on the next step and be
hmm
bouncing back this dual process of,
hmm
are we feeling the feelings or are we doing something next?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
actually, like the next bit doesn't necessarily mean letting go, because there'll always be that sort of continuing experience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but being able to do something metaphorically and symbolically with
Mm-hmm.
nature or with art, to
Yeah.
change a picture or to kick some leaves or to
Mm-hmm.
blow, like I'm thinking like a dandelion leaf
Yeah.
or something
Mm-hmm.
like that, that doesn't necessarily mean you need to do it all, but do
Yeah.
a bit at a time,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
sort of test
And
it
it's
out
it's yeah, it's got to be when it's ready, doesn't it? And one of the things that me and my husband did when we kind of came to terms with the fact that we weren't going to naturally fall pregnant was we went for a walk to a place that was really special to us. And whilst we were on this walk, we collected different items along the way. So we collected some different leaves, a couple of sticks, and then once we carried that for a while, we carried them on the walk. We sat with them. We talked about what each leaf meant, what we were, how we were feeling, and what we were holding, and then we made them into little boats, very rudimentary boats because it was also chucking it down at the time. But that felt quite nice again, hiding the tears. So we made these little boats, and then when we were ready, we let them go down down a river at the top of the river to go down into the lake, and that felt really nice to be able to do that. And I remember at the time there were what are they called? The like the sycamore seeds from the sycamore tree, the little helicopter things.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I'd picked some of those up, but I wasn't ready to let go of that. So I kept those in my pocket and let go of the rest. I knew I needed to keep a little bit behind. That was my kind of memento, or that kind of emotion that I was still wanting to keep hold of.
Mm. And those objects have such like great meaning for you, but then for
Hmm.
somebody else that might, they just see a leaf and see
Hmm.
a stone or see a sycamore
Yeah.
like seed
Hmm.
and not really not see that because it
Yeah.
doesn't hold
Hmm.
that same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you put into it, you can create or add meaning however you see you want to, or however you're drawn to.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah. So when it comes to art and expression, so this slide is illustrating some of my art when I've done some things to express myself. And overall, when it comes to art and expression, there's so many different ways to create something, to express something. So it could be expressed as maybe a diagram of something, like symbolically drawing out different things that might have different meaning, or it might be much more embodied, like those two different ideas of something being diagrammatic, like a map or an illustration of something, and something being embodied that's maybe about really letting what's going on inside go onto the paper. And this is what I was capturing really in my sketchbook at a time sort of last year or the year before, like when I was poorly and I was like lots of gynecological things for me leading up to surgery. But the whole thing that I knew that I had to do was to come back to my art, to express something. And actually, fitting in with what Claire spoke about mandalas, and that a mandala's um, an image. It can be made out of all sorts of things that's representing something about you. And I wanted to, I started off making these images that were maybe a little bit like a diagram. And then, like, on one side's like a diagram, the other one's more like a pattern. And so, actually, intentionally changing it so that it feels more artistic and more like digestible was where I was at with that. However, it's not stopped the pain that I was going through, but it's maybe made me see things in a different way, or maybe made me be able to communicate my experience to somebody else. Because part of expression is about getting out what's inside, and part of it is also communicating to other people. You don't need to do like you don't need to share everything that you're going through to with other people, but it can help. and it was helping me. So when I was making it as an image, I didn't necessarily talk through the dialogue that was happening for me at the time, but I show a picture and somebody would maybe interpret it as they want, or maybe not understand. Sometimes people don't understand what's going on with art in the same way that they might not understand what's going on in your heart. So in
Hmm.
your emotions
Yeah, all that
and
matters
when
is it makes sense to you, though, right? That you understand it.
yeah, and
Mhm.
like Claire was saying about how different weather when you're going out in nature, you're going out for a walk, and different environments can affect kind of your how you're regulating, but also what you're expressing. The same, building on what I said about materials, can really apply. So being able to test out a different material to maybe push your comfort zone a little bit. If you're used to working in a um, controlled way, maybe familiar with pencil crayons, or if you're wanting to do something with chalks and that feels comfortable, at some point you might decide to do something with maybe paint that drips, and at first that might feel too much, and then you might not like how the paint's dripping. That might feel too much, you might feel out of your control, but then allowing that to happen can actually be quite empowering in the end, because you can choose how much to do, or you can maybe make it messy on purpose to express how you're feeling about something. All of our letters are moving today. I think this is what's been going on today.
Never mind.
Yeah. So number
It says,
five, empower.
is it, am I going first?
Claire, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the way in which I have found that nature can empower me is that it's given me the space to explore myself, explore nature, explore how we're connected. It's really given me this sense of belonging, this place where I feel that I can go to, where I feel like I'm home when I'm not home, I'm in the woods. But just this place where I can be me without any expectations, without any judgment. No matter how I turn up, nature will always be there for me. Um, and that was something that I was really struggled at about not being a mum, because you find a lot of places you have to get you well, a lot of the things I want to do are for families or for mums, and even like networking, I've had to like ask the question about 4 times to just the same place. I'm like, are you sure it's okay that I come, that I'm not a mum because it's called whatever, it had mums in the title, and I was like, are you sure it's definitely okay that I can still come? And that kind of takes away from who I am as a person. And nature's never had that. That nature's never said you can't come here unless you're a parent, or you can't do that if you're just a human, if you're just who you are. And so I've really needed that. I've been able to find that space that gives me that kind of welcome, that kind of acceptance that I need, and and then being able to nurture for nature has been something that I felt found really powerful as well. That knowing that whilst I can't maybe grow a human, I can maybe grow a plant or some vegetables, or I can grow flowers, and it's given me a new way to look at things, a new way to feel like I can create and that I can care for things and I can nourish them. Um, and nature is always, it's just always there when I need it. It gives back to me, and I think it can do the same for other people. Like, it just allows so much freedom, it allows so much acceptance, and I think that that's such that's like a really big word, I think, is that acceptance, like knowing that it's okay to do these things. It's okay to turn up without having your hair washed, or in the clothes you've been wearing for 3 days. Nature's not going to judge you if this is the first time you've left the house to go for a walk. It's just going to allow you to be there and to take what you need from it.
Yeah. And that's huge, isn't it? That like
Mm.
actually just shows like how much we're all going through and in different ways, that actually those societal things that you experience, where
Hmm.
am I allowed, do I have permission to do this because of this, because of my situation, because of my life? And actually, like, it struck me that, and this is maybe how I feel as well, that it can feel really lonely, that you can feel like,
Hmm.
am I checking in with whether it's okay to be part of
Hmm.
this, or
Yeah.
whether, like, what next for me, sort of thing, and where should I be
Hmm.
going, and that idea of navigating and exploring, and but actually then allowing yourself to really connect and be
Hmm.
as one, and to be
Yeah.
you and accept everything about you, rather
Hmm.
than, and you as a person. I often introduce myself as like, oh, I'm Leslie and my favorite flower is a sunflower, rather
Hmm.
than what my job is and what my role in the
Hmm.
world is, and those things. And favorite biscuits are chocolate hobnob, just for reference.
For future reference.
For you to reference. Yeah. But these are the sort of things that I think people can feel stuck on, because it can be
Mm.
hard to feel that sense of empowerment when things have been out of your control, when it's been,
Hmm.
like, it's been out of, because not out of choice, and that can feel quite disempowering sometimes. But it's finding things
Hmm.
that you can control and that you can choose.
Hmm.
So when in talking about art and empowerment, I I just think about, like, myself as an artist and doing it for me, and doing, like, making art for me, and making things that allow me to then do the next step, and connecting with people feels empowering for me. It feels really, like, joyful for me when I can genuinely connect with people, and there's been times when I've felt isolated from people because my situation's been different. But then when I've leaned into my heart, then I've felt much more connected, and I've
Hmm.
felt more empowered to do my thing, to take that leap and to do some things. And the picture here was part of a series of art that I created as, like, called Beyond the Fog, like feeling like really foggy. I can't remember specifically what I called that painting, but it is like Beyond the Fog or something like that. It was a time when I was, like, feeling particularly foggy, and yeah, working with that. But it's made a lot of difference to me, because it's times when I've not been able to get outside and get out and go on a walk or something. And I make art instead. I do what I can do. So, yes, as a summary, I feel like we could explore these things much further, and everybody here can probably have, like, if you've been reflecting on anything here, I'm mindful that I've not been able to see the chat, but if you've been thinking about how any of this resonates with you, then by all means, like, take some time to reflect, because we've covered a lot of things just in a short time, and it might
Hmm.
be in a maybe an overview of it, but in summary is just recognizing that if you suppress your emotions, it's maybe gonna just come back in an unexpected way, and processing and feeling those feelings is okay, it's healthy, and you are perfectly in your right to experience what you're experiencing and feel what you're feeling. So
Yeah. There is a question. I don't know if you want to answer it. I'll read it out. It
yeah,
says from Emma, and it says, "Where do you start with art therapy? If it's new to you and all a bit scary, is there something easy for a beginner?" Thank you.
yeah. So as a way to start, I would say, like, you can start by doing the scribble. Like I often say, just scribble. That you don't need to have any skills to express yourself in, to use art in a therapeutic way, or to access an art therapist. It's very much about being open and allowing yourself to play with art materials, and use whatever comes up. So, but even something like the back of an envelope and a biro can be maybe a place to start, or doodling in a meeting. You could see that as a way to start. and yeah, scribbling. Or I think Claire had some really good ideas about being in nature and arranging the leaves and drawing in sand and all of those sorts of things. And take photographs of nature, take photographs of sometimes the boring things in life can look interesting when you zoom in on it.
Mm.
I've got my watch here, and you can zoom in on that little bit of the watch or a mug or something, and like maybe even collage and photographs. There's so many different things that you can do.
Mhm.
But I
I,
suppose it's sorry.
I was going to say, no, you finish and then I'll say what I was going to
I
say.
was just gonna say there's so many things that you can do, and it can be so easy to overthink it and to have
Mhm.
to work out what the next bit would be, but actually allowing yourself to just start, like like just do anything, like a
Mhm.
wiggle. Like if you wiggle your fingers there, that's and then hold a pen, wiggle your fingers, and then get something in your hand, then get a paper. It's such like, and it could sound a bit silly the way I'm saying it, but actually, so many people find it so overwhelming to get started that they just don't start. And I've made art in bed before. I've literally like if you yeah, I'm single, so I that's probably why I'm single, to be fair, because making art in bed. But but like I found that really helps me to sleep sometimes. But it's been those times when I've just not felt like getting out of bed where I've just right, I'm gonna make art, and then actually that's helped, that's activated me to do something. So yeah, hopefully that helps somewhere, but
Yeah,
you don't need to like have all the answers at all.
that's
And
what,
we,
well, that's what it's for you to explore, to find the
yeah,
answers, isn't it, through art? Yeah. I really loved what you were doing the other, I don't know whether it was today or it was today that I saw it on your social media where you were taking the conker for a walk with your pen. Like I loved that, like just pushing it around with your pen to kind of just create whatever marks that come up. So that would be a nice kind of introductory thing. And when
mm,
I feel like I want to do something on paper and I don't know where to start, I do that take your pen for a walk thing. I don't know if people can see my camera. But can you, if I hover up, Leslie, can you see that?
yeah,
Yeah, so that's the sort of thing I would do. I'd just do the scribble on the page and then I'd fill each space and then with a different pattern or a different color, just as a way to start getting to start the process, to start kind of putting pen to paper essentially.
mm, yeah. So it's doing something, doodling, anything like that as a start. If you
Hmm.
draw around your hand, could be a
Yeah.
starting point. There's
Hmm.
lots and lots of different things, but it's give yourself permission to for it not to be perfect,
Hmm.
really.
Yeah.
So we've got a little invite for you, and there's no time scale on this. It's just how it resonates with you. And it's another one. It's us again bringing back nature, really like anchoring this in, bringing back nature and art and creativity together. Um, so yes, I'm sure you can all read that, but Claire, would you be able to explain
Yeah.
how that
Yeah.
might
So
be?
this can be again, like, there's no right or wrong. It's just quite a vague invitation for you to just head out into nature and collect some different nature beings, as I like to call them. So things like pine cones, shells, stones, acorns, conkers. I've got a couple of sticks in front of me, even a little crab apple. Like, collect some of those things on the next walk that you're out and maybe arrange them whilst you're out there into a mandala, into a pattern, or bring them back into your home and use each object to create with, maybe painting with the stick or putting the acorn in some paint and then putting it on your paper and moving it about and see what happens. Or making something 3D and putting stuff together. Um, I've been threading rose hips onto wire to make little hearts at the weekend. Play with it, explore, use what you find to create something that is coming from within.
Yeah, and by all means, if there are anything that you want to share, then you can share it with the hashtag World Childless Week, because I'm sure Steph and everybody else would be delighted to kind of see those things. But equally, it's not necessarily something that you might want to share. It might be private for you.
Mhm.
So, yes, thank you for listening. It feels like I feel really grateful to have been here, because it feels like really important to be able to share and talk and contribute to this topic. So I think it can feel quite quite quiet sometimes, and like having been part of conversations can be quite nurturing for me, but it's really lovely to be able to offer some things that I know about that might help somebody else.
Mhm. Yeah. Thank you all for listening and allowing this space as well.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the end of our webinar, and we really appreciate you and hope that you enjoyed this. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.